It's 8:30. Good morning. I'm Ian Crouch with Hunter News. Neighbours of a Raymond Terrace home have described hearing a series of volatile arguments and screaming early Saturday morning before a man was found lying on the road with stab wounds. Paramedics tried desperately to save 27-year-old Jason Adams, but he died at the scene. It's believed Mr Adams was at a home on Peyton Street when a dispute started and spilled outside. Detectives yet to make any arrests as investigations continue. With Service New South Wales employing more than 2,800 people across the Hunter in New South Wales, concern has been raised over the government's $110 million cut to the organisation's budget. Shadow Minister for Public Services Sophie Kotzer says if job cuts are made to make up the loss, people will have increasing difficulty in accessing natural disaster relief. She says centres in areas like Muswellbrook and Singleton provide key services to residents.
Service New South Wales absolutely pivotal in people's lives, particularly for registration, for voting, licensing, proof of identity, documentation, seeking government services and advice, cost of living information.
The federal government will launch a probe into the disaster fund set up in the wake of the 1989 Newcastle earthquake, amid claims of a lack of transparency and an inability to distribute funds to those still in need. The inquiry follows representations by Newcastle MP Sharon Claydon after an earthquake survivor who still suffers from ill health as a result of serious injuries sustained during the collapse of the Newcastle Workers' Club was told the fund could not help her. It's reported the fund has more than $1 million in assets, including $860,000 in cash. 280 organisations across Australia and the Hunter have yet to sign up for the National Redress Scheme, leaving the cases of more than 500 survivors of institutional child sexual abuse in jeopardy. The Presbyterian Church, Jehovah's Witnesses and the Disability Trust are among those organisations with active claims against them yet to join the scheme. Newcastle MP Sharon Claydon says the government must intervene to ensure a fair outcome for all survivors.
If that's the aim of this government, then they cannot allow recalcitrant organisations who are refusing to take part in the scheme, despite knowing they have active claims against them. The government cannot allow those organisations to get away with that.
Singleton Council is reminding residents Level 2 water restrictions come into force from today. The ongoing drought has seen the level of the Glennies Creek Dam fall to just 37.2%. It means showers must be limited to 4 minutes, vehicles can only be washed with a bucket, and watering of lawns and gardens can only be done every second day before 10 a.m. and after 4 p.m. The Hunter is being urged to take hearing loss seriously, with 1 in 3 people ignoring worsening hearing. Residents are being urged to take part in Hearing Australia's 10-minute Here and Now challenge to test hearing loss. A free cochlear implant information session is being held in Newcastle on April 8. Professor in hearing loss Kathy Berman is encouraging those who find hearing aids just aren't enough to come along to the session.
Information sessions provide greater awareness amongst the community of what the options are, whether patients need hearing aids, whether they need to think about a cochlear implant, and it puts people in the driving seat regarding their health, which is really important.
2NURFM Sport.
The Newcastle Jets continue their 5-week undefeated streak after beating Perth Glory 2-1 on Saturday night. The squad is now 8 points behind the 6th place Brisbane Roar, with 7 games remaining in their campaign. Coach Carl Robinson says the wins are doing the boys a world of good in their development.
What I see is development of a team that is going to play slightly different, and they want to play that way, and they want to enjoy the ball. And there's two sides to the game: when you have the ball and when you don't.
The 35th Surfest Newcastle Pro commences at Merriweather Beach today. The event is scheduled to run every day until next Sunday. Meanwhile, Newcastle surfer Sarah Bowen will compete in round 1 this morning. The 26-year-old is riding off the back of her win in the 3,000-point Central Coast Pro over the weekend. The Newcastle Wildfires rugby union side lost 72-7 over the weekend against the Western Force. They'll play Illawarra in Wollongong on Friday. And Port Stephens Mayor Oakfield Missile won Saturday's Provincial Championship qualifier at Newcastle Racecourse. And the winning numbers in Weekend Lotto are 12, 29, 3, 30, 38 and 31, and the supplementaries are 22 and 45. 2NURFM News Time, 25 to 9.